There's a legend in these parts about Bigfoot. As he was wandering through the forest, he thought about having a podcast. And he walked and thought and walked and thought. Then he came across a little bunny and he pondered, I wonder if that bunny would be my co-host. And the rest, it was history.
Welcome to Bigfoot
and the Bunny.
This is a couple's journey into the mysterious,
the unknown, and the paranormal.
I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I'm your host, Kristen Johnson.
Together we are Bigfoot and the Bunny.
Welcome to Bigfoot and the Bunny / Dark Horse Paranormal. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us. Of course, we've got a hurricane hitting the Florida coastline as we speak, and our hearts go out to our friends and family
and everyone
that are involved and in Florida and the path of this thing. It's just a monster, especially if you were affected by Helene. It's just so crazy. And we know a lot of you guys are hunkering down tonight. So stay safe. Obviously, that is what's important. We'll be looking for you guys to check in and just fix my mic here. And we'll be watching everything very closely after the show. So we've got a great show for you guys tonight. We're really excited. We're going to try something more of the variety theme, sort of like a Tonight Show. Know if you guys are familiar with the late night shows where we got different guests and that sort of thing. Let us know what you think, please, in the comments if you like this format. And great to see you guys out there. I see Bob Burnell. Hello, buddy. How you doing? We're excited too. We're excited to see you next month. We're going on a paranormal investigation with Bob and company next month, and it's going to be a good time. We're really looking forward to that with Karen Daniels. Hey, how you doing, Karen?
Hi, Karen.
Good to see you. So there's our investigation buddies. Oh, look at this guy. I have not seen you in a long time. How are you doing, my friend? Echo Leaf, how's it going?
Hi, Echo.
And for those of you who don't know, we've been kind of off the air until last week for a while. We've been sort of on hiatus. We've been doing shows on our buddy Greg Haas's When Spirits Connect, doing these sort of deep meditation states of using the Estes method to let spirits pass through us and communicate messages. And I believe Greg is on with that show tonight. So maybe you'll want to look for that after this. Greg was on this show last week, as well as some of our other friends from that particular program. And all right. So our first guest tonight are cryptozoology type folks. I don't know if they use that term, but they're going to tell us about them. And they're actually from our area, not too far from here on the western side of Massachusetts. They are Bigfooting people, and they are known as the Vogel Brothers. I'm going to bring them on right now. Eric and Tim, they're fantastic folks, and let them tell you about ourselves, tell you about themselves. Jeez. Rushing around to get ready for the show, right?
So it begins.
Just like, oh. Here we go. Let's bring these guys on. They're a couple of characters and good guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh,
Eric and Tim of the Vogel Brothers.
howdy, folks. How are you?
Sorry for a kind of goofy intro. Just a little off our game.
Not that. We're excited to be back as
We
well.
are very excited to be back, and yeah, all of that. But we're not here to talk about ourselves. We're here to talk about you. Tell us about yourselves. You guys had a Bigfoot experience back in 1976. I imagine we were just all a little bit younger back then with Bigfoot in the backyard. Can you tell us about that?
I guess I'll start it. It was back in 76. We were kids. It was winter. It was November, December, early December maybe, and it was snowing. And we were hiking our way down to the Agawam Twin Cinemas, and we were going to go see a video or a movie at the cinemas. And it was Sasquatch or Bigfoot, the Legend of Sasquatch, I believe, or Sasquatch, the Legend of Bigfoot, one or the other. It was one or the other, either one. So anyways, that's what kind of got our attention. And for us, it was a big hike. You know, I was, 13, 14, 15 years old, and it was probably, I don't know, it was quite a few miles to get there and back in a snowstorm both ways. So we checked all the boxes there. And we shoveled driveways to pay for our entry fee to get to the movie.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was hardcore. But the reason why we went to that movie was because we grew up scouting, camping. We had a big backyard. Our property abutted a bunch of other property and parks and whatnot, the river. And really, I mean, all of a sudden, this movie comes out and there's this Bigfoot thing. And that was clearly a new character out here in the East Coast at that point in 76. You know, it was a thing out west, you know, it had a culture, it had a following. Out here, it just didn't really, not so much until we went and saw this movie. And then all of a sudden, there's Bigfoot in our backyard.
Right. It's like it kind of got into the consciousness, and Bigfoot was a thing back then. And all I remember was like, That's Incredible, the show That's Incredible, going way back to the 70s, I guess, early 80s, right? They had some of the footage, and it seemed like it was a real thing. You know, Bigfoot and quicksand, not saying it isn't real, but in that time, it became part of the public consciousness, and like quicksand, and it was absolutely going to take us all out.
Yeah. No, that was it. You know, it was some other, what happened for us was after seeing that movie, it was a while after that. Next thing you know, we get up, there's snow in the backyard, and there's Bigfoot tracks in our backyard.
Wow.
Bigfoot tracks. And they went for quite a while. So a couple of days are going in there, and, you know, Eric will tell you that we had the police, the everybody there.
Oh, yeah. It actually started in Robinson State Park over in Agawam. And the tracks went down the river, across the river, up the canal, and then across the railroad tracks into our yard. And we had an acre or apple orchard. And then it walked into the ravine and followed the stream back across the railroad tracks. And back then the river froze. So you could walk across the river. So it walked across the river. Naturally, we couldn't because we were still too young.
Wow.
So that started us. But you got to remember, Bigfoot was a West Coast thing. It wasn't an East Coast thing back then.
Yeah.
So to have that in our backyard was incredible.
Truly something.
Right. Yeah, and we had everybody in our yard. We had the police. We had investigators. They had one from California. They had one. Yeah, they had one from California. One from New York.
People like us.
All that was really known was that Patterson Gimlin. Am I saying that right? Footage.
Gimlin. Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson. Yeah.
Gimlin. Yeah, that we're all familiar with.
Yeah. That's
Exactly.
October 20th, 1967. Birthday's coming up.
Wow.
Birthday's
Yeah.
Patty's birthday.
Right.
People still are working on that footage. I've seen it
Let
be
'em.
mastered, brought up. Hey,
Let 'em.
all these things.
They can work on it all they want. They'll never debunk that. That is authentic.
You guys feel that is the real Bigfoot?
There's no
Without a
doubt.
doubt.
Remember, that was 1967. That was
Right.
Super 8 video. Super 8 film. There was no crazy technology, none of that stuff back then.
No, as you folks know, they've tried to debunk it.
Yeah.
The story that goes with it has never changed from Bob. It's always been the same.
Yeah. And
No,
we've been
we-
fortunate enough to meet the gentleman and have the candid conversation. Pretty in-depth conversation is even into, why didn't you shoot this thing? And like he said, it was walking away. It looked like a woman walking away, and it was just that, walking away. It didn't pose us any harm. It wasn't a threat.
Yeah, he said it
that
was
was the extent of it. And it looked human on top of it. It was, all of a sudden you see his unicorn, your mind must be, at his moments there, all of a sudden like, holy crap, and there it is. And
What am I
the next
seeing?
thing you
What am I
know.
looking at?
Yeah.
Right. Now,
And-
I'm sorry. I was
and,
going
well,
to, when you guys,
he's looking at it and he's thinking it's more human than animal. And that's why he didn't shoot it. Simple as that.
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to ask you, when you first saw those tracks, did you guys take pictures of it? Are there pictures of the tracks that were in
To
your
be
backyard?
Oh,
Not
us?
our backyard, no.
No, I don't know why they didn't take tracks or something like that. But to my knowledge, they didn't cast any tracks. There was plenty of photographs because it was in the newspapers. It was everywhere. It turned out, that ended up being some local kid cutting out plywood Bigfoot tracks, and he ended up making a big long to do. And it turned out to be a nothing burger. But that was back in '76. And this was a local kid who was kind of pulling a prank on the local neighborhood. And
Yeah,
it
yeah,
went
he
a little
just-
bit too far. Yeah, it
Yeah,
went a
that-
little too far. He didn't know when to quit because all of a sudden everybody was involved. So
Yeah.
How
it was
big
one
were
of
the tracks that you guys saw in your backyard? When we say tracks, what size?
I
are we
I don't
talking?
remember. I don't remember to be exactly honest,
know
but
it-
they were all of, I would say 15 inches plus.
Wow.
Yeah, they were definitely
They were
big. They're bigger than a human.
Yeah. We've got a half a dozen casts now that we've cast over the last 10, 12 years of Bigfoot. And they're all, the majority of them are between 15 and 17 inches. So, even back then, the tracks were that big. So,
Oh, yeah.
even though what we experienced back then wasn't a real, Bigfoot encounter, that was, our introduction to Bigfoot, kind of thing. And
Yeah,
then from
that was our rabbit hole.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what started it. Kind of set the wick,
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. And I imagine you guys were, quite a bit younger back in
Yeah,
76.
you're 14. All the publicity's in your neighborhood, right in your backyard. The cops, the newspapers, the TV, Bigfoot in your backyard. This is a
That
new
is
phenomenon.
Yeah, because you're
So-
you're smart enough to know what you're looking at, but young enough to have a belief system that'll even allow it.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people that encounter the paranormal as they get older, they've already built up these kind of blocks in their mind, and that they just that can't be real, that
Yeah.
sort of thing, and yet there it is, right?
right. And there it is.
So
Yeah.
that set you on your way. What would happen? What would follow after this? That set up a really virtually a lifetime of exploring.
I would say our New York experience. That was we owned a business together called the Cobble Mountain. We own that one too.
Tacoma Mountain.
Tacoma Mountain Outdoors. I'm sorry, Tacoma Mountain Outdoors. It's since retired since COVID. It was an outdoor education business. We did a lot of canoeing, climbing, outdoor certification, stuff like that. And that
So
was
we
our
spent time in the backcountry up in New
Oh
York.
yeah, we've been doing this professionally forever, since our 20s and 30s. So it's been a long time. And so anyways, we were guiding up in New York, and we were up in the Adirondacks, up in the St. Regis Wilderness Canoe area, out in that area on one of the lakes. And we decided to go up there for vacation. So it was late September, it was midweek. And we went up there during that time frame and parameter because we were picking Pink Pond because they had one campsite. New York State has a bunch of designated sites in their lakes. So if there's only one site and there's somebody in it, you have to leave and beat feet and go somewhere else and go to a designated campsite. That's the way they run their, or a ranger will come and throw you out, and they will. If we were guides up in New York, and they will truly come and follow you out, and you will change your plans. So we were planning to be up there because we knew it was going to be empty, and we'd been running guiding trips up there for, I don't know, 10, 12 years anyways. And so we chose that time, that place, that location. We go there, we set up, and we go to this campsite. We set up our camp, and we're going to go fishing for dinner. And at that point, I'm paddling and Eric's fishing.
Oh, it was the best. If you're a fisherman and a fly fisherman, it was the best day a fisherman could ever have.
Yeah. I
had Tim paddling and I was just casting. I was catching one bass after another, after another, after another.
Wow.
Fantastic. Oh, I was having a great time.
Sounds wonderful. We love it.
Dinner wasn't the option. Now it was just fishing. Literally.
Yeah, it was just fishing now.
Yeah.
So we kind of paddled back, and we were headed back along the right-hand side of the lake, and we kind of paddled into this stream. And I was in the front of the canoe, and it was all interlocking, all the branches and stuff. So I says, I don't want to go in there. You go in there. So we spun the canoe around, and I paddled Tim back in there, and we got up to this dam to where he could start fishing. And that's when he started fishing.
Yeah. I started casting. Now, mind you, we're sitting in a canoe. So the beaver dam, what he's talking about is about 30 feet wide, maybe. And it's kind of convex. So we're at the apex and it goes back. So it's in that shape. And then the stream kind of tapers back to 5-6 feet wide, maybe 7 feet wide. And there's, from a big 30-foot to a 7-foot stream. So I'm up there and now I'm fishing. I catch, and as soon as I catch this fish and I start pulling it out, these two trees start shaking, and they're full-grown trees. They're big old trees, and they start shaking like they're in a snow globe, literally.
Broke loose.
Yeah. And right after that, right after that, this roaring, growling, snarling, I don't know. It was a loud roaring was coming from these two trees shaking. And we're sitting there, I'm just fishing. I'm still bringing the fish in. And all of a sudden, these two trees, literally like they were in a snow globe, and the entire forest is quiet. And these two trees were just going off. And, and the yelling and the screaming that went on with this was, we've never heard it before, ever. We've guided for years. You think you've heard all the noises in the zoo and the Discovery Channel and this and that, and all of a sudden this comes out at you, and it's like, what? And you couldn't, I don't know, we couldn't understand what was really going on,
It has to kind of blow your mind, like what is happening right now when you see these trees? Because it's, even being a Bigfoot researcher, it's not like you see the same behavior all the time, right? Am I wrong? Or did you instantly know what you were looking at?
No.
And we really weren't thinking of Bigfoot.
No, we were far from researchers.
Yeah, that was the furthest thing from our mind at the time.
Really, we were going fishing for dinner, having a good time. That was it, literally.
So where
trying to have a vacation.
Where does your mind go to? Do you think like is it a bear? Is it a moose? Like in the milliseconds you're thinking and you're trying to figure it out, and you just stand there in shock.
Everything and that's exactly what we were doing. We were, the noises that were coming out of this thing and the trees that were shaking, we couldn't come up with an animal that could do that.
No, we've never heard it before.
Seen
And the
moose and bear.
reverb you could feel in your chest. Every,
Yeah.
you know, like with the octaves of when the growling went high and loud, it went deeper right through you. And then the lesser of a sound, the lesser it was. But it got to a point where this went nonstop. We didn't have a watch, a camera, or nothing. Like I said, we had a tackle box and we were going fishing. We didn't even have a tackle box. We had some couple of sets and a box of flies. That was it. And so anyways, now this thing is really going off. The trees are shaking. There's stuff coming out of the trees. I don't know if they're like just the limbs breaking, sticks coming out, rocks. I really wasn't that focused on that. Right? It was more like we were focused on the splashes that we could see. Say, what the hell is this? And it never, ever stopped. And it got louder and louder and louder. And so we literally just backed out. We got back out into deeper water. And
we actually got halfway out into the lake. And it was still making noise. And we got a little further out. And as fast as all of that started, it stopped.
Yeah.
And we just sat there 3/4 of the way across the lake. And we're just sitting there saying, what the hell just happened? And we're looking over there, and the trees aren't moving, nothing. So after a couple of minutes of sitting there and trying to figure it all out, we start paddling back down the lake. And I just kind of went to Tim. I said, you know what? And he goes, yeah, we're on the same side as this thing is.
We're just literally a couple 100 yards down the lake. It was and it was right there.
Yeah, the only campsite on the lake, and it was on that side.
Oh, wow. Now, do you think it was just one? I'm trying to imagine what this sounds like. We've heard different things about what they're sounding like in the shows. Of course, there are a lot of shows and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Now, today, does it sound like multiple Bigfoot, or it sound like one Bigfoot? I'm trying to understand what it sounds like.
To me, it sounded like a bunch of noise, a loud roaring, growling. Let me put it this way. It never stopped for 10 or 15 minutes. The whatever was making that noise never stopped, and the trees didn't stop shaking. It never came up for air, stopped for a breath, or anything. It was nonstop sound, yelling, nonstop. Simple as that.
Thinking about it, as time went by, we went back the following year to the exact same spot to go back to see what it was, where it was.
Yeah.
And the trees that were shaking were still standing, and they had to be 8 inches in diameter, at least. And they had to be almost 9-10 feet apart. So a person, there's no way you could put a hand on one and shake them both at the same time. There's just no way. You could have a group of people that aren't going to shake one tree.
Right.
Never mind 2 or 3. Hi, Noreen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was so thick in there. The only way that you could get into there would be you'd have to machete your way through. It was that thick.
It's a thick pine boreal forest, really thick, tight pine trees, kind of like being above tree line. If you ever been up in New Hampshire in that way, really tight pines, really thick, dense vegetation foliage.
When it's sunny out on the lake at 4 o'clock and you get out of the canoe and step into the woods, you got to put a headlamp on. That's how dark it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
really dark.
But the noise, to get back to the noise was nothing we recognized, nothing cookie cutter. Oh, that was a lion. Ooh, that was a this. It did sound like a lion. It sounded like a bear, and it sounded like something else and something else. It was a strange cacophony of noise, and roaring is what it was. And like I said, it never stopped. So there was probably multiple, 1 or 2 anyway, because the noise never stopped, and something had to take a breath at some point. So between one or the other or the both. So, we're sitting out in the middle of the canoe, out in the middle of the lake on our way back to the campsite, thinking, that was a bear and a mountain lion, or a couple of mountain lions and a bear fighting. we just didn't know how to wrap our heads around it. So, and because it stopped so abruptly, we kind of blew it off and out of fear, said, yep, poof, that one went by. And we, right? We kind of blew off the night.
Happened to us ever. With all the years that we camped, we've never had that happen.
Yeah, no. And we do some pretty remote, wild, stuff. And this was a first for sure. So, right. So we had the big campfire that night. We were kind of scared.
Yeah.
And
there's no doubt.
We couldn't wait for daylight so we can get out of there and get out and get back in the boat and just paddle, just get away from that spot. And we did. Morning came, we got out of there, and that was the extent of it. And so now we sit there and we Monday morning quarterback that, and we kind of come up with a lot of reasons why people see a Bigfoot. Why were you there? Why were they there? How did this encounter happen? Even though we didn't see a Bigfoot, I could tell you it wasn't a coyote, it wasn't a moose, it wasn't a bear. I could tell you every single thing it wasn't. All right. But I'm pretty sure it was a Bigfoot. Or
it was really beyond the realms of the things we commonly know. So you just know right away this is outside the scope of what most people experience, what you've experienced leading up to this point of hearing one,
one of these creatures don't belong here. It's one of those things. That was it. And that was
naturally wants to debunk those kind of things, right? And take it apart and say, how did this really happen?
Yeah.
But yet you're still stuck with, well, it did happen.
Yeah.
If you take the house away, you still had the experience, right? So something valid was there.
We often say you can't unhave an experience.
That's right.
That's true.
You can't unhave it. So now for us, we kind of make heads or tails or sense out of what we're seeing or hearing. And so we come up with the thought that they were fishing. And a good friend of ours, Dave McCullough, he's got some hand casts that are just huge. These hands they're like mitts, they're like pitcher, first baseman gloves. These prints that he's got are ginormous for hands. And so if there were two creatures or beings or whatever you want to call them, our thought was that they may have started way up in the creek and worked their way down, pushing fish into this beaver pond as a fish trap. Real primitive. The ancients have been doing it for years. This isn't a new thing. And we probably learned it from them as well. Native Americans, the first. So the fish are all now corralled up, right? The fish are all corralled up in this beaver pond, basically. And all of a sudden, these two wingnuts show up and they start fishing and catching fish. And so if there's a couple Bigfoot there, they're probably saying, what is going on? You idiots, you got all that fish out there. Now you're taking ours. And they started in on us and let us know we weren't welcome.
We can come up with.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
We believe that that's what they were doing at that time.
Fishing.
And they were there because we were there for the same reason. The Adirondacks would have been empty. All the kids were back in school. Everybody was back to work. Vacations were over. So we had it all to ourselves. So we thought. Mm-hmm. Just like they thought the same thing.
Yeah, they thought that as well.
Well, if they're locals or inhabitants, they would notice patterns just like the other animals. I'm a ranger here at a camp, and I see patterns with the animals when people are in camp and out of camp, and they seem to know that there's kind of a ebb and flow, kind of a pattern or something like that goes on in camp, and the local animals would see that. And I would imagine if a local Bigfoot up in the remote Adirondacks saw people once in a while, they would be seeing them on the weekends most generally, except for the summer because you get a lot of vacationers. But after that, once school hits, college opens up, poof, September rolls around, the Adirondacks empty out, and you got the few hardcore people that got the weekend off or the midweek off, but I guarantee there was no one there. There was no one at the trailhead when we put in.
No, Bob. smell it.
There was absolutely no one there. We saw all weekend.
Bob's question is valid, because this is obviously one of the things people say about Bigfoot encounters is that there's a heavy smell, but you guys didn't smell anything?
We didn't have that. Not at that time, no.
Yeah, not. Why don't you go right into that, Eric, and not lose that question, because the odor. Go right into October Mountain with that.
We did have. We were doing was it 16? 18? 2016, 2018. We had an expedition. There was about 12 of us on this expedition. And we went up to October Mountain. We went up to this Eagle Lake, I think it's called.
No, Felton Pond.
And there's a dam in the middle, and we were on the left-hand side, and what we believe, this was about 1:32 in the morning, misty rain, and we're all standing there. We got a couple of FLIRs going on, and someone says, "Oh, hey, look at this. What is this across the pond?" So now you got 3 or 4 FLIRs going, and people are looking across the pond, and they're looking at this object, and this object starts walking, and then it turns around and comes back. Like Tim says, we called it the pacing Bigfoot, because it would walk like 20, 30 paces and then go back, and then it would walk out and go a little bit further. And on the third attempt that it came back and was going to the left again, one of our buddies said, "Hey, do you smell that?" And believe it or not, we had a musty smell, and you could smell it. And it was only for a short period of time, because as this object walked away down to the left, it just kind of vanished. So we were all just kind of standing there, and we're like, what just happened? What did we just see through the FLIR? And I turned around and I said, "Hey, did anybody get a picture of it?" And it was like seconds that somebody hit the record button, because you're standing there in awe, just watching this thing, and you're like, what is going on?
And suddenly it's go time. Here it is.
In front of you.
Like deer in the headlights, and no one hitting the record button.
FLIRs
Nobody
cams, of course, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It was a good distance away from us. But as it went to the left, it disappeared. And so we were standing there, we're all talking, we're saying, well, we smelled something, we saw something, and then all of a sudden, at the end of this little peninsula, or this little outcrop, there's this blue light came up out of nowhere, about the size of a beach ball, and it was right next to a white pine, about 150 feet tall.
Wow.
And we watched this ball go in the air. It didn't zigzag around limbs. It just went straight up. And it got to the top of this white pine, and it slowly went across for about 4 or 5 seconds, and then just disappeared.
Wow.
12 people watched this happen.
Yeah. Crystal blue orb.
People smelt it and they saw it through the FLIR. And then we saw the orb.
Of course, my inner child keeps thinking, whoever smelt it dealt it. And it's all I can think of.
I'm sure we said that too. I'm sure we brought that up.
A blue, like an orb, if you will. This is like an experience that people have had with like Tai Wonka.
Paranormal stuff.
Yeah, it's more in the paranormal realm and even the alien abduction realm, I would say. The sort of thing.
October Mountain is a very active place. There is a lot of history that goes back there, from UFOs, from paranormal, from little Annie. She's a 10-year-old girl that walks the mountain in a white gown.
Yeah, old town settlements.
That people have seen. So there's a lot of things that go on up there, and there's actual news clippings and whatnot from there. So it's one of the places that we go to because we know it's so active.
It's interesting that occurs, and then you smell the smell, right? The smell that they talk about. And Do you think that's like some way of marking its territory, like a glandular response, or?
It could be. It could be something where, you know, it tries to hide itself by putting off a scent, just sort of like a skunk does, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Stink bug.
Yeah,
because really the only reason why we he
actually smelt it, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
really,
that is no doubt the first time.
First time.
It was, and the only reason why we kind of put the two together with the smell, because we were at a swamp and it could be skunk cabbage. It could be a lot of different, you know, mook boots coming up through the methane. And, you know, there's a bunch of swamp smells and things like that. And granted, there is, but
not here.
But this was transient. This came and went. If it was, you know, a coyotes or deer or a moose going through skunk cabbage or tearing stuff up, that'd be a permanent scent. It would be there longer, and it would be there, and it wouldn't be transient. So if we had something there that was causing like a decaying body or something like that, the smell would be there. But it was there and then gone
for a couple of seconds.
Wouldn't be walking around either and showing up.
Right, and that whole thing, you know, we had a dozen people or so that were eyewitnesses to this. This thing was 100. We went back the next day with a rangefinder and a bunch of other stuff. The expedition had ended. We go up on our own time and we're looking for tracks. We found a half a dozen tracks after that Bigfoot. The Bigfoot, we found out, was pacing on an ash tree that had fallen down. And it was about a 90-foot long tree. And that's why this thing was going back and forth. And it looked like it was floating. And it's kind of bizarre, you know. And there it was. And then, so we found a half a dozen tracks, 2 of which we cast, 1 which is acceptable. You know, 17 inches long. Eric's got them at the house. They're 7 inches wide, 5-inch heel. This one in particular, you could see the toes digging into a hill. So you see the toes flexing in the cast. So it's pretty neat.
Right about these tracks, when it left that ash tree, the tracks went into this tall straw grass. And that's why you couldn't print any of those tracks. Yeah. Except for the one that he's talking about, which was on a slight incline. And that's exactly where we saw the orb come out of.
Yeah, the Bigfoot headed off into that.
I love the orb addition to that
aspect of it.
Yeah, it's quite the ending, you know, for a couple of guys who want this Bigfoot stuff to be flesh and blood, and you know, you can poke sticks at it, and then all of a sudden have to go poof and turn into a ball of light. And
you all saw the same stuff.
We all saw the same stuff. That's the beauty of this. The majority of our stuff has been with multiple witnesses. So
with groups.
Oh yeah.
Even the class and stuff. 2018, we had another expedition. I think it was 18. It started on a Friday. Tim is a ranger at the camp, so our group comes in, and we're all getting out of the cars, and we start walking to the parking lot. And these kids and these teachers come running out of the woods yelling, saying there's somebody yelling and throwing things at us. And we're like, Timmy says, what? He goes, I'm the ranger. There's nobody here. So they said, they're throwing something at us and they're yelling at us. So we all walked out. There was about 14 of us. So we kind of walked out there. We were looking around and we didn't see anything. We didn't hear anything. So that night, we when I went for a walk, some people went up towards the swamp. I took a guy and his son over into a field, and I gave his son the FLIR, and his son was watching a mouse through the FLIR. And as we're standing there, me and this other guy, I'm looking across the field, and I said, what is that light there? I said, I've been here for 15 years and I've never seen a light over here. There's nothing there. It was an orange orb, an orange yellowish orb about 15, 20 feet off the ground. I looked at the guy beside me. He looked at me. We both looked back at this glowing ball about the size of a beach ball. But the light was inside, not outside. And it was just sitting there. And we just kind of watched it for a few seconds. And then all of a sudden, it just gone. Went right up in the air and disappeared.
Wow.
So we turned around and I said, "Did you just see that?" And he just shook his head. He didn't want to even mention it. So we didn't say anything. Him and I didn't say anything about it afterwards. The following day, it's been raining now on and off for about 4 days. So John, we all get in the cars and John says, "Come on, we got a place to go. We're going to go out to Savoy." Said, "All right." So we drive out to Savoy State Forest. And it was raining a little bit harder when we got to the first stop. And nobody wanted to get out because it was raining. Said, "All right." So he decided to go to a second spot. It's called Balance Rock. If you Google it and you look it up, it's a big rock on a little rock, huge rock on a little rock, and that's why it's Balance Rock. But it's in the middle of nowhere. It's right in the middle of the woods, of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
So we stopped, and about 10 or 12 of us got out, and a half a dozen didn't. So we took a walk, and we're walking into the woods. There's two guys, Jeff and Mike. They always lag behind. They like to watch the group to see if the group is being watched. And This father and son went up in front, and they had a GoPro. So we meandered our way up to this Balance Rock, and we asked if anybody wanted to make a call. And this little boy turned around and says, "Sure, I will." He gave out a whoop that was so soft. I said to myself, "There's just no way they're never gonna hear this thing." He no sooner finished that whoop, and it could have been seconds later. Jeff and Mike come running up from behind us and says, "Hey, we have whistles back here." At the same time, the father and son team, he sent his son back and he says, "We got knocks up in the front." So we all just walked into the woods and kind of opened up like a 45. And I was standing on this little knoll, this little rock outcrop, and it was really, really quiet. I mean, you could hear yourself thinking sometimes, it's when it's so quiet, you have to snap a stick just to make sure you didn't go deaf. So we're standing there and I'm looking around. I'm a hunter. So I kind of crouched down. So I was looking for leg movement. Maybe I could see something move. All of a sudden I looked over to my right and I'm looking and I'm saying, "What is this black thing?" So I'm standing there and I kind of leaned to the left, like I was trying to look around the corner or look around a leaf or something to get a better look. And this thing leaned. When I stood up, it stood up. I went, "Oh my God, it's right in front of me." So I pointed at it and I started running. But I didn't know that the guy to my right, who was set back just a little bit, saw the bottom half. He saw the legs move, and I saw the upper. I saw from the waist up. There was a tree that was laying down. Okay. So him and I came into the same GoPro frame at the exact same time, pointing at this thing, running towards it. And everybody says, "Well, how come you never get a picture of a Bigfoot?" The gentleman that was standing between the two of us when this was all going on was videotaping it, and there was a tree directly in front of him. And behind that tree is what I was looking at.
Wow. So
we all go running over there, and the Mike and Jeff that were coming through the woods, this thing ran in their direction. You never heard it hit the ground like a bear would, like bear would hit and go, ugh. It would give that grunting sound. You never heard it hit the ground. You never saw trees move. You never heard anything snap or break. Wow. It was just there and it was gone. So we didn't find anything at that time. I says, oh man, I says, I can't believe this. This is the first time that Tim is not with me. Him and I are together on everything that we do. I said, when we get back, he was teaching a fishing class. And when I got back there, I said, Tim, I said, you got to come with me. You won't believe what just happened. I says, I think I saw Bigfoot. He goes, what? I said, I'm telling you, I think I saw Bigfoot. So the next day we get up, I take him up there. We walk right back to where I was standing. I've got the range finder, the whole 9 yards. I said, this is where I was. That tree is where I saw it. So he walks to the tree. He's standing there. I said, yep, that's the one. He starts raising his hand. Then he puts his hat in the air. I said, no, you need a stick. He takes a stick and he starts raising it up. And I finally told him to stop. It was right between 8.5 to 9 feet tall. And this thing was as wide as a sheet of plywood. That's how big this thing was when I saw it.
It's unnerving.
So, so after we did that, and then we took the rangefinder and I did the rangefinder with it, and it was 40 yards from where I was. So I had a good look at it, or what I was looking at, which was this black object. So Tim starts to walk away from the tree, and I'm coming around the tree. And as he's coming to meet me at the other end where the roots were, he goes, oh man, look, he goes, look at this. The print with the naked eye was incredible. Absolutely incredible. It was 17 inches long, 7.5 to 8 inches wide. The heel had to be 4 to 5 inches. So I called this guy.
You guys are just walking up to this, like, you know, Chris might just be like, all right, we're out. You see that? Yeah, I saw that. Okay,
all right, we're out of here.
We're done camping for today.
No, he just turned around and it was right there, just as clear as a ball.
It was that print was as clear as day, and of course we didn't have any plaster Paris. We didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So I turned around and I called John. And he's on his way to a baseball game out in Fenway Park. He's out near the Ludlow exit, and he says, "Are you for real?" He says, "Is there a real print?" I says, "I'm telling you, it's right here. I'm looking at it."
Yeah, apparently.
So he turned
before they were looking for prints, and they never found them.
Yeah, we were looking. We didn't find nothing.
Right.
So he drives all the way back, and we meet him out on the dirt road. We get in this truck. And we're driving in. I bet you we didn't drive in 30 yards, if that.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the passenger seat. Tim's sitting behind me. John's driving. And up on the top of the mountain, up on top of the hill, you had this. It was just like. It had to be a warning to let the other ones know that we were coming back in. Here come the wing nuts again, you know. So,
yeah.
Normal people would have left, but we just turned around and went in. So we went in, and
John didn't hear it, so that's why he kept driving. Otherwise, he might have left.
Yeah, right. So we get in there, and we show him the print, and he goes, "Oh wow!" He goes, "I don't remember seeing that." I said, "Neither do I, but here it is." So we casted the print. We had, I don't know, that print's got to be about 5 pounds of dental stone.
There's a lot of material.
And I only had a little left. And we were looking for a second print. 7 feet away, we have a partial print of the ball of the other foot. The toes hit the roots. It was a 7-foot stride. And the toes hit the tree root, and you can see where the indentation of the ball went in. When you look at the ball, when you look at that at the right foot compared to the left foot, the ball and the heel are both the same depth.
Wow.
So it had to be from the same creature.
And what kind of weight could you estimate
Yeah.
would make such a print?
I was told anywhere between 800 and 900
Wow.
pounds.
Oh,
Wow.
And it's 3 inches deep. I mean, we jumped on the ground and you barely make a
Couldn't
mark.
touch it. Couldn't touch it. And we only found the
And-
2 tracks. Out of all of them, we found 2. There potentially was a third, but it was obscure and it wasn't. If it's not,
And then it's gone. And this is where the mind kind of like fizzles a little bit. It's like it's in our reality,
Right.
and then it's not. And of course, we have some comments in the audience about this. Is always the big question. Is he flesh and blood? Is he interdimensional?
right.
And
Yeah.
what do you guys think based on your experience?
Over the years, we've had so many different things happen to it. Infrasound we've had, the orbs that we've had. We believe, or I think we believe, that when it gets scared or when it gets caught, it can go into another dimension or go through an orb or whatever it is that you want to call the black hole.
channels that anxiety attack energy into an orb and poof, off it goes.
Because you only
that's why you only get couple tracks. No, who knows?
That
You know,
reminds
I'm-
me of a parent.
I mean, if you have a 900-pound creature, do you think you'd have more than one?
No, to answer that question, it's flesh and blood until I see the little saucer take it away.
You know,
What we
thing that
what we've seen, and it ran away.
Yeah.
And it's left tracks, and we've got casts. So the whole woo factor is there, meaning the connection between flesh and blood and paranormal. Why do we only get a half a dozen tracks if this thing is 800 pounds and is running away? Why you only got a track or 2?
Right. Oh, why it's so rare,
that
to
goes
find them, because if it was flesh and blood as we experience reality in our 3-dimensional universe as people,
Right.
which does not mean
Right.
that that's the only way to experience it, there would be
No.
Bigfoot
Sure.
everywhere, right? We would see the tracks, we would see their homes, we would see their children and their grandparents and all that
yeah.
stuff, and we don't. But that kind of explains it. Maybe they have a way out, like a panic mode. Hey, or just my defense mechanism. Because-
That's what that's what we think. I believe that that's what they do. They have a defense mechanism that stops them from getting caught, and they can just in and out. There are
It is
other people
definitely
that believe that they communicate with them, sign language, the whole 9 yards. So, it's hard to say that it's not more human than it is animal, because when you got someone saying it's this, I mean, where do you go from there?
Right.
There's a lot of unanswered questions.
Most people that don't have these close-up encounters call it a creature, a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch. And then you get people like Ernie Davro and some of these other folks that have these really up-close and personal encounters within feet, within touching distance, and they call them a being or a people's. So I think it all depends on the experience the individual has, the proximity, the closeness. Bill Rigby down there in Pennsylvania, Virginia's. I remember him talking about one of his questioners calling up and saying, well, maybe they just take off so fast they barely put their feet on the ground and hardly leave a track. And you hear about these Bigfoot that run and make it, holy crap, they're running like heck, and maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. The cool thing is that you can't shut the door on any of it, as far-fetched as it goes, because then you're not researching, you're a know-it-all at that point.
You're being judgmental, right? You don't want to be judgmental in these things because it's an experience. You had the experience. Maybe it doesn't align with everybody's day-to-day experience, but there it is. And it's happened multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Have you guys had any other kind of supernatural, or we'll even say psychic experiences that have coincided or maybe been a result of these Bigfoot encounters?
No, I guess the only way to put it would be the paranormal aspect of the orbs with the Bigfoot. that's the only time the two have been mixed together. And we've had two of those experiences, where the two have been, but the multiple kinds of things like that. I can't say no. Have I seen a UFO? Yes. That's a whole nother show. My wife and I experienced a haunting and a full little apparition, the whole deal right here at a local little cemetery. So, I've experienced, I've got the hat trick. I've got paranormals, ghosts, Bigfoots, seen them, done it. I don't know why. But
we believe that the phenomenon is related, and it's a large book back here behind us on the shelf about experiences in the UFO, UAP community and surveys that have been done with them and how they had these sort of, we'll say, psychic gifts that seem to occur after the events. And some of them are ongoing, like the same people continue to have experiences through their lives, which is interesting, like almost like chosen, or their brain is tuned in a way that they can experience the phenomena that maybe another person can't. But they do seem to be gifted. And we've heard about that, right? Somebody gets abducted, they come back, and now they can read minds or something like that. But there seems to be some sort of truth to that. The numbers alone, because it's been studied, kind of show that. And I'm sure that a lot of that's true of Bigfoot, of other types of paranormal or supernatural experiences, meaning just beyond the realms of what people experience day to day.
Yeah. There's a couple of people we know that boots on the ground out there in the Boston area. Let's say everything west of the Connecticut or east of the Connecticut River is Boston. So out Boston way, they're out that way, the Bridgewater Triangle.
Yeah,
those guys investigate. That's their neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, we're in Rhode Island, but we're just outside the triangle.
Good group of guys out there, and they're all trying to, we're all working together, trying to get investigators for each one of the New England states.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's cool to hear what's going on over in Colorado and Montana and whatnot, but we want to know what's going on right here in our backyard.
Have you studied the lore, like the Algonquins or the indigenous people of New England? The certain lore. I think some of these creatures are mentioned. You want to tell us a little bit about that, and then
some of it, like for us, the Wendigo. I guess it was the Wendigo. We would use the Algonquin nations or the East Coast. We typically use the Wendigo. The Native Americans, first peoples, they were using that term as a Wendigo. There's the Saskets. I believe it was Saskets, the Tlingit tribes in out west. I'm not sure if that's the right Sashili tribe or it's Washington, Oregon, out that way. And that's where the term Sasquatch comes from. And we kind of broke it down, as it goes along in different areas. You've got, we had, what was it, Eric? The wild man, hairy man. Yeah, there's Indigo. There's a swamp. Us man. Yeah, just skunky. Yeah, skunky. I mean,
I think the Wendigo is a sort of a flesh eater, though, and that's not something we see in the Bigfoot experiences. No. I don't think. Have you guys ever heard a story where the Bigfoot hurt the people that experienced it?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Not
much on the Wendigo stuff. Only because that wasn't my kind of interest. I'm primarily focused with Bigfoot. Not that the two may not go hand in hand, and the lore isn't similar, but I just don't want to convolute the two. I'll listen to a story if it comes up for sure, but I'm not going to go chasing Wendigos and stuff.
I certainly think
we certainly, not that they're not out there. It's just that we are certain there is a Bigfoot out there. It's certainly here in Western Massachusetts, and it's right out here in the camp. We had Class A's sightings where our police chief is, So we've got Bigfoot right here locally in Western Massachusetts.
He does seem to be everywhere, even here in Rhode Island.
Oh yeah,
Bigfoot sightings.
Mike Trainer. He's a big guy down there in Rhode Island as far as Bigfoot investigating and whatnot. He's got a number of casts. Member of those boots on the ground guys out there in the Boston Bridgewater area.
Yep.
Again, throw a plug our way. We're doing a Cobble Mountain Critter Festival. Our business is the Cobble Mountain Critter Project. And we do, it's youth outdoor education. We do public speaking. We talk about Bigfoot. We get out here, we talk about Bigfoot. We do library shows, conference, stuff like that. And whatever monies we raise goes into youth outdoor education. We started getting in and having more asks, wanting to give a little bit more. So we're getting into 5K races, mud runs, and we're going to do a Cobble Mountain Critter Festival June 7th in 25. And that's, we got a bunch of speakers from cryptid, UFO, paranormal. We're looking for vendors, sponsors, the whole thing. It's our first concert, that was a different lifetime.
Right.
Yeah, right. It was a different time. So anyways, that's what we're doing now. And the monies from that goes into youth outdoor education. So we're sending kids to camp, doing outdoor education with, like leave no trace ethics, how to recreate in the woods and do it sustainably, meaning rock climbing and canoeing and kayaking without trash in a place, things like that,
Wonderful. I think that's great. We love the
Both do.
outdoors, and
Yes.
we're big fans of that and
Nature.
camping and that sort of thing, and getting back to nature, because people don't have enough of it in their lives, for sure.
Exactly.
So,
well, that's what this stuff is rooted for. We're creating stewards. We're hitting it at the educational at 3rd, 4th grade level. There will be a coloring book and a history book on the Cobble Mountain watershed, how it was made, why it was made. So there's some history to it. There's it's not just about Bigfooting. Bigfoot, really? I mean, if you ask Eric, it's the vehicle to move outdoor education to the kids. It's, here you go.
Right.
I think that's wonderful. And
we're
you guys
using
go
big-
by
as-
the Vogel Brothers. That's how people should search for you on Facebook and Instagram. And it's VOGEL, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the Vogel Brothers. You got a Facebook page and an Instagram. The Cobble Mountain Critter Project. We have a page there. That's our youth outdoor education for sponsors or whatever you're looking to do. And then we have the Cobble Mountain Critter Festival page, which is a dedicated page just to the festival. If you want to be a vendor or a sponsor, come check it out.
Or critter getter.
Critter getter, volunteers. We need volunteers.
That is excellent. Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us
Yes.
tonight.
Thank you so much.
This has been a lot of fun talking to you, and we definitely want to know more about your experiences, and we'll look up your pages, and we wish you the best with the Cobble Mountain Project.
Yes, thank you.
I think that's a great thing to do, and it's wonderful that you're bringing kids involved and getting them back to nature and get them off their
That's what
phones.
we all need. Yeah.
Get off the phones, kids. Stop staring at the phone. Go find a tree.
Shoegazers.
Boots on the ground.
That's right.
It's all right. We'll come back for a second one, and we'll tell you the one about the Catholic school group that we took out with the pastor. We'll create that.
That sounds wonderful.
Yes. Thank you.
That sounds wonderful. Excellent.
folks.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night. Thank you.
Welcome. Good night.
Have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, folks. That is Tim and Eric of the Vogel Brothers. And we want you guys to check them out. For our second half of the show, we're going to be talking to our good friend, Chris Garcia, who's going to come on and tell us what he's been up to and do some live readings. And we'll have him up in just a moment. So give us just a moment to gather our thoughts and talk to Chris real quick, and we'll bring him out. Stay with us.
Thank you, everyone.
And we're back. And thank you for staying with us.
Yes, thank you.
On this little adventure. Next up is our good friend, Chris Garcia. I think you guys know him. Let's bring him right out. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys. I was just listening to the show. I was just listening and stuff, and then I was doing some concentration and just focus my energy and just, yeah, and I was just listening. I was like, pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thanks to our audience. We see you out there, Mr. Bob, Renell, Irene, Akiko. How you doing? Also on the Paralinks, who we want to give a shout out to, the Paranormal United Network, who we just love, and we're broadcasting out on Pun One tonight. And I know that Irene also has a show out there, and we need to catch up soon. What have you been up to, my friend? What's new in Chris' world?
Well, it's gotten more busier. I mean, it kind of, you know what happened. You guys already know. Outside of that, it's my world has changed tremendously. I guess my gifts kind of enhanced a little bit from my mom. Whatever when she crossed, she gave me some of that, so it's added more. And do I feel different? Yeah, I just haven't able to figure out, what's been going on with me. But I've been just doing my thing and trying to keep myself busy, motivated. Yeah. And that's what I've just been doing. There's times where I've had my nights where I just, I feel like something trying to get me down, but everybody's like, Chris, don't do it. We need you. People need you. Your mom would want you to be happy. So,
yes, she would.
Yeah.
She would. We know your mom.
We remember talking to her the first time you were on our show.
Yeah.
We talked to her quite a bit, and yourself before the show. And what a wonderful woman she was. Yeah. She was just wonderful to talk to.
We're very sorry for your loss.
And supportive of you.
Yeah.
But with that, there's also been new stuff in your life, and you have a new relationship and new love.
Yes, I'm actually engaged. Actually, I had proposed to her prior in another group chat that we're in. No one knew that. The family didn't know that. She came for August. We had a blast. We actually went to the Black Swan, which I've never gone to any paranormal haunted place. That was my first. And it's like in the north side of San Antonio. It was an experience, and I got to test myself and, of course we had to pay for the tour, but I was like trying to shut myself off, and I was like, you know what, just be myself and just be like, we're following the tour, and it felt pretty good there. There's a lot of energy to it. And then it was her first time in San Antonio, and get this, she wants to live here. She's from Minnesota, by the way. So she likes it here. She likes the weather up there. I think it's in the 60s. Yeah. So, but I'm engaged, and I actually made a party for her. It was all about her, and then it was me. We did a cake. We had like 2 cakes, Chris. Get this. We had a Marilyn Manson. She likes Marilyn Manson cake. We had 2 cakes. They touched all that, and it was like his face on it. All the girls were just chopping it up. So, we're just looking at the cake, and we're just like, damn. Brittany, I said, they ate all the whole cake, and she goes, yeah, they didn't even touch the second one. Well, the second one, when everybody left after the party was done, the weeks after, that stuff was way too sweet. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, and then we gave it to the neighbors because I was like, this is just too sweet for me. So we gave some to the neighbors, and then my aunt came to meet everybody, and they loved Brittany, and I was actually scared. I ain't gonna lie. She was terrified too, but then
I bet
everybody loved her. Yeah. So it changed my life, and then that's the thing, is that I truly believe that my mom brought her to me, because my mom did not want me to be alone, and she brought a beautiful person in my life, and I'm grateful. Thank you, Mom, for doing that.
That is wonderful. And through this, your phone number, I believe, has changed as well. I want to put it out for for people. It's
Yeah,
what is the rest of it, Chris?
210-974-3470.
3470. Okay. I'm sorry I didn't have the banner ready. Let me put
No,
it
you're
up.
fine. Yeah, I don't know if you can put that because I'm on TikTok. Y'all guys follow me too, so I'm on different platforms. So, but while you're doing that, it's really, I guess you can say, with my gifts, has changed a different perspective of how I think of things. Um, and I guess you could say I appreciate my gifts even more. Um, this has a transition of like me, like a cocoon. Because I feel like I was in the cocoon because my mom was always like there. After, everything was, she was gone, I kind of went into a butterfly and just went on my own. And then get this, Christian, I actually, if my mom was around, I guarantee you, she is no way in hell she would have let me fly by myself in May. Because I've never flown, I've always flown with family. So I was there for a week. They're like, everybody's like, who is this guy? Who is Chris? Who is he? Because I changed so much. I grew so much. I've grown, matured. It's just a different life for me now. But I still help people behind the scenes. I'm actually doing candles for people, candle work. I've always done that, but I don't know if y'all ever knew that. But
No, tell us a little
that.
bit about the candle work you do. What do you do with a candle for somebody who reaches out to you?
Yeah, well, I do that for like protection, money, health. If there's like prayer for people like that are fighting certain issues, illnesses, I pray for them to the end, and as long as the person pays for it. And I help a lot of people, and I'm actually, even me and my fiance, we just recently did a cleanse at one of my friend's store. We actually did it. I already knew how to do that. She wasn't expecting to do anything, but she did a tremendous job, and I'm proud of her because she's opening up too. By the way, she's discovering herself. She's brought the best in me, and I brought the best in her. Um, but we do like cleansings and stuff, and that's the thing that me and my mom did. But since my mom's gone, I'm gonna continue doing cleansing like how like the people do in church. We do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna start doing that, and we're gonna hopefully first work on me, and then we're gonna combine us working together. So, like, say if I'm going to do an investigation, she's gonna be by my side. Because I told her, I said, you don't have to do what I do. If you choose to do what I do, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna support you in everything you do. She supports me in everything I do. But hopefully, with probably next year, I want to travel because people have asked me, when are you planning to travel? And I said, I already went to this one location. I'm still want to travel and meet other people and interact. I did a show, I think it was yesterday, the day before. They asked me, have you gone to a Paracon yet? I said, no, I want to. Now that I can do that, because everything that my mom did, my mom wasn't doing all that stuff. She would have went with me, but it was that my mom wanted to do what she wanted to do. Yeah, and I support that. But now that I'm a free bird, I do what Chris wants now, and it's time for me to blossom.
Right.
And that is what life is about, right? As soon as you get comfortable, something shakes it up, and we keep going anyways, and we have new experiences. Mm-hmm. Getting back to the candles you mentioned, do you dress the candles in any way or petition any saints?
Yeah, I get like petition certain saints like Saint Jude, Niño Toje. That's I can't think of his name in English. Then there's like the Virgin Mary, but I put like I have like a ink cross and I just make holes in it. That's like to make the holes, and whatever the person wants. Then it's like if it's to bring love or whatever the case, protection. It's always in red, and then on the back of it, I tell them what they want, and they tell me, and I write it down and I fold it, and then I put like the oils. At that time, like I'm using my gifts, I use what I'm being told to put in the candle for them. Okay. And then, and now if it's like to get rid of stuff, then that would be in black pen, like a reversal candle to remove people trying to do jinxes. I send that back to people, and to protect the people that say, well, somebody did this to me, so I do that kind of work.
Sure, and uncrossing.
But that's and uncrossing and stuff, because I don't do none of that dark stuff, even though I know I can pick up on it. But I just tell them what I'm seeing when I'm reading the candles. So I read the wax, the images that I get on the outside of the candles, because there's times where I've seen faces on the candles, and they're like real religious candles, like you guys were asking me, like certain saints. It don't matter what kind of candle. And now I've noticed that too, like, that's strange. Like, I'll look at the candle and I'm like laying down and it's like bright. I'll see like images like of a lady or a girl or a guy, depending on what the person's wanting on their candle, so I do it for them. So it's weird. It's like I'm interpreting what I'm seeing and like reading the candle, but that's like behind the scenes. I do that for privacy. I don't show the candles out to anyone, because that's for the customer, depending, like if they want more business or they want love, or say like if they have rehab or if they're a drug addiction, I just try to get them off of bad habits, stuff like that. So I do a lot of that. That's picked up. My walkthroughs, I'm doing that coming again, where I've gone to people behind the scenes where I'm hardly on Facebook anymore. I do a lot of that and still validated on a lot of readings. And then, as y'all see my Facebook, I've been sending a lot of merchandise out to people that actually pay for my shirts. Those are my new ones. So blue ones y'all have, those are like when my mom was around. So I said, it's time for a change. The only difference from the shirts is the color and what it says on the back. It's TikTok on the logo on the back. So it's a different look to it.
Has that become your main platform, TikTok?
Yeah, I do a lot more TikTok but lately I've been kind of resting when I'm not doing anything. And there's times where I just get this feeling, you know what, let me go on TikTok. But it just varies, yeah.
I know some people out there in the audience, I'm sure, are probably hoping that you'll give them a reading, but maybe we'll do things differently if it's all right. Do you see Chris and I and want to tell us anything about us? We'll start there and then maybe move over to some.
We'll see. Yeah. See if anybody wants reading. So I'm going to show you these. These are another pair of cards that I got. I have another pair, but this is from another one that they're actually like, see, I don't know if you can see that. They're like cards where they're written words on them.
Yes.
Like the regular. So these are different. These are like someone that actually put the energy, knew how the meaning of what comes up, that stuff like that. So let's see what comes for you guys. So what is it that they need to know?
I love the candle and paint work. I think that's just a very interesting area.
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture of Saint behind us up on the shelf. In fact.
Okay, so right now you have. I do feel that there is. It's showing that the Five of Spades, I believe this is. Yeah, the Five of Spades. So that's telling me that even though y'all are successful, there is some energy that is trying to block you in what y'all are doing. But overall, from what this card is telling me, there's people that are probably intimidated by y'all's network and that y'all are growing. Okay. But as always, the more that you progress, just be aware that not everything is that it appears to you. You might feel like you being in the paranormal, you have friends, but as you start spreading yourself out, your circle gets smaller and smaller, and then you just start to unfriend people. You have people that are it's what you call your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your peers, but it's more of your people that you really don't have to deal with all the time. Do you also have new opportunity? The Ace of Diamonds popped up. You have to start from scratch. Is what I'm being told. You have new news coming up, new opportunities. Um, you're going to be going to new invitations. So people are going to be asking y'all to go to different stuff and do things that are different. Putting in the work. That's the card that you put. It's a 7 of spades. You have working hard for what you do. Okay. So I do feel that within stuff, I feel like you guys get the job done. You put well harmony. You actually are being told you're going to do charity work. It's the 6 of diamonds. Give and receive help. So when you can help people, like donate the people to the ones in hurricane, I feel like y'all want to get back outside of the paranormal. That if you could, whatever little money that you do have, you spread it out. And I feel like the more that you do, the more that you're going to get blessed. So if you do tenfold, you're going to get tenfold, twice as what you do, what you're giving. Does that make sense?
Oh, it certainly does. It certainly does. I've been working on a paranormal device that we may end up just putting out there for sort of people to bid on, and we'll be talking more about that in the coming weeks. Maybe we'll do that for charity because there's certainly going to be a lot of people in need
in Florida.
And I do feel like y'all guys are gonna grow in a lot of different ways, and that's what I see. And I just see more different people coming on, just trying to help people outside of what you normally do. Because I feel like y'all talk about new plans, new things that y'all want to do that no one knows. But what I'm picking up is that y'all have a lot of plans, and whatever guys plans you have, I would keep that discreet. And the reason why I'm being told that is because some people might just take your ideas and claim it that was their idea first, but it wasn't. That's why I don't share a lot of what I'm up to. I do, for the shows and stuff like that. But as far as like deep what I'm planning to do, where to go, if people are really going to care about me, those are the ones that are going to be supportive. And that's how I'm being told for you. Don't tell anybody where you're going unless you're going to go with a friend and they go with you. So what I was told, just to keep things confidential. Don't tell everybody what you're doing unless it's an event or even sponsoring and speaking up and giving people guidance, because that's what I see. I see like you're going to be doing like what you call lectures and giving people different pointers. That's what I feel. And I think it's more of like what people don't do is give people that people should respect, and that's what I'm getting from you guys.
Well, that's fantastic. And we like that. We think about our show as a way of being able to spread information, not necessarily disinformation, about experiences and that sort of thing. Because people have different experiences. We're not always on the same page, and things happen. They can sound a little crazy to some folks, but then when it happens to them, they have something to reference, and they don't feel alone or crazy. So I think that's important. It's an important message we've always tried to get across, because we've had a lot of experiences ourselves that just sound, for lack of a better word, batshit. And we want to, let other people know, hey, this happens. Alone. You're not alone.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that are like through depression, I don't know why I'm getting that, but I feel like with people that need guidance or need support, I feel like you're going to be doing that. I don't know if y'all have thought about like doing cases where if you could volunteer, if you have just a feeling or if a person's missing, I feel like y'all might like go and help people search for, depending on what it is, But I feel that you're going to do a lot of charity work, because that's what I do. But a lot of people don't get to see that. And that's something that what I'm planning to do too. I'm going to give a little insight. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'm planning to maybe go to some investigations here within the area or with places that are haunted. And hopefully by that time, Brittany will be here. And I will have a person that will have camera behind me and just to see what kind of stuff I pick up, and then I can be validated with the person that knows the history of that area. So I'm planning to test myself in other ways that I've never done before.
That's very cool.
And I've actually even wanted just to go like this, just blind my phone and just take me to a location and not know where I'm going, but just see what kind of feelings I get, like what colors of building, or if there's a barn, because I've done that twice in the past where I've gone to test myself, like without knowing where I'm going, and to validate, like, not everything that you have to see, you have to be intuitive. Like if you're blindfolded, like Chip Coffee or like other psychics that are tested on the show, that they test them to see what they can see, and then when they take off the mask, that's where they come and validate where they were, and like, oh wow, there's a brown building, and that's what you said, and there's a guy named Eric that just died here, that kind of stuff. So, so that's what I want to do, is test myself in that aspect. And I just want to do so much stuff that I want to do. Like I want to travel. Hi, Alice. I do want to travel and just get to things that I didn't get to see, and I am glad that you guys got the chance to meet my mom, because not everybody got to meet my mom, and she got to meet you. So you guys are special. I'm not saying for the ones who didn't see my mom, we're not special. It's just that I think not everybody was in my world at that particular time, and the ones that were not around me, they got to get to know me a little bit, and they know that now my mom's living through me now. So it's just keeping your spirit alive and doing doing, helping people in any way I can, and then I'm actually spreading out signs, like, my signs that I'm putting on different parts of the road, because I want people to know that if I'm just not passing cars like at a gas station, I want to spread myself out to other people that don't know who Psychic Chris is. I want them to know that I'm here for them, that if in case they need me, then that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, mine, to me, it's just something that I love to do. So
yeah, and you're naturally gifted in that arena. We're glad to help you spread the word. If anybody in the audience is looking for a reading and wants to know a little bit about what might be in their future, please drop us a message so that Chris can take a look at that.
Would anybody?
Yeah, if anybody wants a reading, go ahead. Oh, and by the way, too, Chris, I got these new cards. They're called the tea leaves. These are brand new. These are, for some reason, I was drawn to these.
Round.
They're round, yeah. That's weird. The cards are round. These are, I've never seen cards like this before. I've seen like ones that are square, like the tarot and stuff. And for some reason, I was drawn to them. I've used them a few times, and it's kind of creepy, but I like a variety of different type of cards. I'm just drawn to them. So,
do you find them easier or harder to shuffle being round?
That's funny that you say that. I'm adjusting to shuffling, because they're not like the ones like that you're just going like this. This is a little bit, because they can usually just slip off because of the shape. But yeah, I'm having to be more careful to adjusting to shuffling them, and I'm just like, this is weird, because I've never had to do this, but it's different. So let me see what I got to see what other messages besides, because those cards, for some reason, the words were kind of fading. I guess because I use them a lot. I've been using them a lot. So let's see what these gotta say, because these are different. So
great. Our friend Bob Burnell is mentioning that he would love a reading. Do you see anything in the cards for Bob?
Oh yeah, he would love a reading. Hi Bob, by the way. So what we need to know? So we're just gonna go with 3. I know Bob has been a real supporter of me for a long time. Okay, so Bob, you have the Rose card. Romance is in the air. Ooh. Oh. So you have the card that's saying that it doesn't have to be that you're looking for a new love. It's just that saying that you're appreciated and that you're loved by many people. to me, romance doesn't have to be a relationship. I just think that you're loved by a lot of people. So if you feel, um, so the thing is that that's what I feel that you that are loved, and if you ever feel like you're have this doubt that you're not loved, you are. Um, I do feel that the rooster's calling and it says there's an arrogant rooster person that you should not cross. So I'm being told to be very careful. Um, so I'm being told that that's the card that's coming up, and you also have that there's a lot of people that are blessed that you are going around, and you have the scale card. Keep your life in balance. So that's telling me that you have to balance the energy out. Okay, that's what I'm getting. So I do feel that if you put a lot of love into the kind of person you are and you speak your mind, I feel that you're going to feel more. And I do feel that you're loved by a lot of people. So just be aware that if you ever feel like you're not loved, you are loved, just to let you know. And that's what this card's saying. Um, so I
We
just
love
feel that you have to have balance. Yeah. And I got to know him, he's been like I said, a supporter for a long time. So Bob, I don't know if that makes any sense. Hold on. So Bob, does that make sense? I don't know if did he respond?
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure he will.
Yeah, and that's what I get is that you do also have some people um, that I feel like you have to be, and I think it's in general. I feel like for some odd reason, um, like I was talking to other people about this, is that I think the community needs to come together, and it makes me sick that there's so much people that are so like Bob and like me and others and like Chris and Christian that we're here to help people. And the message that I feel like is that not everybody should um, be hateful. Well, thanks, Chris. Sometimes I wonder how many people take me. That's the thing is that I feel like funny that you say that. I feel like you're misunderstood. So just know that you give them love. If they don't give you love and harmony, you just keep giving them love and tender love and care. And the more that you show them love, the more angry they get. So just the more they get irritated, then that tells you that that person needs to be either removed from your life or doesn't benefit you. So just give that beautiful love that you give and just be who you are.
That's wonderful. He also wondered about he's been sick and some things. Did you see anything there with his health?
With that, I feel like this is lighthearted and carefree time, so that's time for you to take care of yourself. And I do feel that when you're overdoing stuff, you're actually probably picking up other energy, and that's what's making you feel sick. So it's time for you to have me time and just take care of yourself, because I feel that you go beyond and beyond to help people. But then there's a time where you need to have time for yourself. And for me, I don't know why I get this feeling from you, but you have always said yes, 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 yes. You're not the type of person that tells people no because you don't want them to be upset with you or annoyed with you, or they just feel like you're ignoring them. If they really care for you, they're gonna have time for you and understand that your health is more important and that you can always get back with them. And if they really care, then they're gonna understand this. You know what, Bob? We love you. We rather have you healthy than to be sick, because when you're sick, you're not all there and you're feeling like, feel like dizzy, sick, or whatever the case may be, but just know that you're loved. And thank you for that compliment.
He says you're spot on, brother. So that's good. That is wonderful. That's what we like to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And I hope that helps, Bob. And just to put it out there, we are looking forward to seeing you next month. So
I know. I just have him take care of himself so he could come on y'all's show and help people. And maybe they need to hear his voice to know that. Because everybody has guidance and wisdom. I feel like I don't know if I've ever talked to him in person, but I keep getting this elderly kind of energy from him, like an elder, a person that has been, like one person that has a lot of energy is what I see. And he's like brighter than what people give. I think he acts like people don't really know everything about him, and I think that's kind of like a mystery. And he has people on their toes. So whatever you're doing, Bob, once you get better, just keep people on their toes and don't tell them. Let them be mysterious of you, and that's what makes you special.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that. Geek Body asks for a reading as well.
Is he still in here? Because I don't see him. I don't know if he's still in here. Hopefully he is.
No, or if you're interested in having Chris read a little bit into your future, please speak up in the chats.
Yeah, because I did see that, but I was tuning into Bob, but I just want to make sure that he's there.
They're still there.
Oh, hi. Okay, nice to meet you, by the way. So hopefully that makes sense. So I can't pronounce his name. Hold on, let me look at his name again because I have to tap into the energy. Is it D-E-K?
Yes.
Hold on. Yeah, that's what I was all looking at. I was like, can tell us what does he need to know? So you have the dog card, protective from a powerful friend. So that's telling me that you have someone that is strong, but you are protected from this person. Male or female? Male. Okay, I'm getting female. I do feel that you have protection from this a person that is not one who they appear, and it says you've been receiving or giving a previous gift. So I do feel that there's diamonds. So I think that the more you help people, when you do, you're going to receive gifts, and you're not gonna even expect it. But I feel that you're a very caring person, and pay attention to your work. Is the third card I got? Is that pay attention to what fits you and what makes you benefit, and how you help others, and pay attention to your work, because I feel that's a big effect on how you're going to come across a lot of people, if that makes sense.
That's excellent. That's excellent. We'll let them respond. And I hope I didn't mess up your name. I'm not sure if it's Deke or Decay. But
that's what I was gonna say. I didn't want to say if it was the wrong way to say it. That's why I was like, am I saying it?
Apologies if I
does that does that make sense, Deke? If I said it right? I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense to pay attention, mean that you do have someone that that you are protected from?
No, you're getting it right. So.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
What do you think of dream interpretation, Chris? People's dreams.
I think dream interpretation to me is more of messages that are being told for you to pay attention to, but you have to really analyze what the dream is trying to tell you. It can be a warning. It can tell you what's to come ahead. And I was told to get a journal and to make sure that you pay attention to everything that you see in the background, to the people that if you can't see them, they come out clear. I think that's very significant. And I do feel that when you have these type of dreams, I would actually call that as a prophet or a person that can see premonitions, which is something that I do. I've had visions lately, and that's another thing I've noticed that I don't know if it's just maybe I'm just a part of me still kind of shut down, I guess, or it's just not meant to have. Like I'll come with premonitions that are so meant to come at that time because I used to get them like a lot, but now that I think everything's kind of like coming down, it's a new year. I think that the premonitions will probably come in stronger, but when I did have them, they came in so damn strong. Like it was a slap in the face. Like, Chris, you didn't lose your touch. Stop saying that. You know, that's what they would is what like they would lecture me. It was like the spirits would tell me, and then right when I thought I lost my touch with my premonitions, 2 days later, boom, I would dream. So, but that's what I think with dream interpretation. It's always something that you, as being a psychic and an empath person, medium, I feel that you got to pay attention to dreams because they're not just dreams. I do feel that that's messages from your loved ones, your elders, your ancestors. You know, it's all of the above. So I think it's very important for you to pay attention to that stuff.
We would agree. And it's funny how the brain works with that. It's like some dreams seem to just be a culmination of the day's junk that's kind of maybe spit out in some other form. And then other ones have this kind of deep symbolism. And at least for myself personally, they're usually not direct in their approach. You have to look at the big picture of what the dream means to get any kind of interpretation. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's different things. It's the symbolism that seems to go through it is a message, and it can take it that way. And other times it just seems like collected junk from the day just kind of gets regurgitated, and here you go, get to experience
I,
it.
I just think that
Yeah.
to me, it's just that people think that dreams don't have a meaning. But I've had dream interpretations with other people that I've had, and then I have a good friend of mine that is a dream interpreter, and it kind of shocks me because a lot of the stuff that I'm telling her, she gets like interpretations of the dream, and then it goes with what's going around in my life or what's been going around with the people around me. Um, and stuff like that, but it just make a lot of sense. And so just be aware that when you do have an interpretation, pay attention to it because it could be something that's very important or a warning for future events or future things that are going to be coming within the next. I usually feel that when you dream about stuff, make them sure that you write them down because I do feel that a lot of those interpretations that you dream about, you're going to probably find out within the next 2 to 3 weeks, a little after you have that dream. So pinpoint the time that you have the dream, the date you have a dream, and then also pay attention to what moon cycle it is because it has a lot of meaning behind that too. So you more or less know what you're dealing with at that time when you're dreaming.
For sure. That's very interesting. And we do keep dream journals, not as often as we should, I think. But, you know, it is very interesting when I go back and I find one that maybe I haven't looked at in a couple of years or something, maybe it's in the bottom of a drawer, and I start flipping through it. And I remember, you know, what those dreams were like, or it tells me something about myself in that time period. Yeah, you get a bigger representation of where your head was at then, you know, and that sort of thing. It's always fascinating to go back and read those things. What about
Yeah.
the moon you think is important? Do you mean things like full moons and new moons with the stronger
Yes. Yeah.
pull?
Yeah. And I do feel that every moon has, I think the most strongest moon for me, I would say it has to be the full moon. It's when it comes to everything that's like for protection. It has a different energy to it. I think that's the most strongest when witches do their craft. I think the full moon is the strongest. not that the waning and waxing moon don't have energy to it, but there's different magical purposes that you can do on different moon. But I think all around for like protection, money, full moon is good for a lot of, and you can even collect moon water. Is what I'm being told that you can do that. And is the moon water compare different from the eclipse moon? Yes. If you collect moon water from the eclipse, you have to do a lot of research on that. Don't ask me why that was thrown at me, but that's what I was told, that the moon water compared to the eclipse is a completely different aspect. So you might want to look that up if you do collect eclipse water, which I have eclipse water. I haven't touched it. Will I drink from it? No, but I think, but from other things, yes, I'll analyze and look it up because it's very interesting that you think that the moon doesn't affect a lot of things, but it does. And being that I feel like I'm a moon child, I always feel like that I've always connected to the moon since I was little. I would always look at the stars and stuff. And now that I'm older, I'm like, now that everything's changed my life, I'm looking at the moon like, because one day me and Bernie were outside, I'm looking at the moon and I'm like, nah, I said, I haven't been outside in days. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, we come outside every day. And I said, I used to look at the moon a lot and the stars. And I said, I just lost it, when I was younger. But now it's in this feeling like I just feel peace when I see the stars and the moon. It gives me some peace of mind to know that my elders and my loved ones are watching me through those little shining stars. So, yeah.
I love that thought.
Yes.
They're looking at you through the stars,
Very peaceful.
through the night and through the moon.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just nice to take a little time to yourself and go out and view the sky. And we mentioned on the podcast, I thought it was wonderful that they were doing programs where they were getting kids and adults out camping and doing things out in nature and away from, again, their phones and that sort of thing, and tablets and computers, because we all spend a lot of time looking at the blue screen, right? It's good to just turn it off for a while and take in a little bit of nature and quiet the mind and see what life gives you in those moments. I think
Yeah, and I do feel like it gives you that you're not from this existence. Because I remember when I first started, that people would say, "What do you label yourself as?" And it was weird because, like, I know I'm actually an indigo child. And I do know that the indigo childs were connected to nature. They were connected to the moon. And am I a mixture of, with everything going on with me? I wouldn't say like I'm a mixture of an indigo child and a crystal child, because the crystal children, they usually have like more colored eyes. And it's funny, I have colored eyes. I have like eyes where they're like hazel, honey brown. They change. And speaking of kids, I've been asked. I'm surprised you guys ain't asking. Everybody's been asking me, when are you guys getting married?
I was going to ask you that at the beginning, and then I was like,
"Oh, you said you're engaged,
yes.
right?" So I didn't know.
Yeah, but it's just that I just don't. We haven't really talked about the date, but everybody says, "Well, if we could make it, let us know because we want to be there." And I'm just like, okay. And then like Brittany will be like looking at me like, cause she hears everything I say, so she knows, and I know she's watching me too. She's watching everything you do. She's like this, like I can see everything you're doing.
I think that's wonderful.
No, but
does she also have gifts like yourself?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I'm actually teaching her to trust herself. There's certain things that she has said to me in discreet, and a lot of the stuff has been validated by another good friend of mine that we helped with the spray and blessed his store and stuff. But a lot of the stuff he told her, he goes, "Damn, that's true." And then she looked at me, she said, "Damn, I should start trusting myself more." I said, "What did I tell you? You got to trust yourself." And that's the thing I got her to open up. Maybe one day, I don't know not on this show because I don't know if y'all allow other people come on to say hi, but but the thing is that maybe when one day when I'm on live, maybe y'all can come on live and just say hi to her real quick, But
We would.
out of respect, because I don't know if y'all would allow that, so I'm not gonna ask her to come on live because she would probably just say hi and then just leave. But out of respect, I don't do that because it's y'all's show, so I'm just doing that out of respect.
We're flexible.
Yeah, we don't
You
mind
could
at
bring
all.
her on anytime. No, we like that. Did you set a date for the marriage?
Honestly, not really, but I think from what I feel, it's probably gonna be probably within the middle of the year next year, or probably before the end of the year next year. That's what I'm feeling. I'm not sure if that's gonna be when, but I'm feeling that we'll me and her have to talk more about it. But that's what I'm being told, so I don't know because I don't like to read into my personal stuff because there's certain things that you can't see, but just by the feeling, I feel like how connected we are. I want to say it's probably going to be by by next year or the following year. I'll let you guys know, and if you guys are not doing anything, then I would love for you guys to come because I've known you for my goodness for a long time.
4 years. Yeah.
Yes. I think
I don't know how long have I known you guys?
About 3 or 4 years.
it's been a while. We have quite a few shows behind us.
Wow,
Featuring you.
wow, yeah.
Absolutely. Do you find that you yourself are maybe the hardest person for you to read?
Honestly, um, I've been able to read myself, but that's another thing. Um, that was one thing that scared me, and I'll show you in a minute if I can. I don't know if I can get access to it. Let's see. There's this they're called mat reading. I'll show you in a minute if I have time to look. As far as like reading myself, one time I did not lie. I'm dead serious. The thing is that I didn't know because I wanted to know about my at that time. This wasn't more. I know that's the fan. That's the dream catcher. That's why it's moving, Bob. Um,
I saw her
but
bounce.
there was times where it tends to do that. I don't know why. I guess a lot of people just wonder why that happens, but it's probably because of the air and stuff. Um, but I did do a couple of readings with these mats. I don't know if I have a mat. I have to probably send y'all a picture because I don't believe I have them. They're like different mats. I can't look for them because I don't want to move and then I drop the phone or anything. But I'll send them to you next time. But I did this reading and it came out to where I would just like close my eyes and just throw the charms, and it had the RIP with the heart on top of it. At that time, I didn't know what it signified, but as the days went by and the weeks went by, I said, "Oh my God, the passing of my mom." And like after that, I'm not even lying, Chris. I just like, you know what? That was the only time I read myself, but not with cards, just with a mat and throwing like bones and different charms. After that, I've been kind of like, because I've noticed that with me being so strong, I can change things. And I told Brittany that I said, if you want a reading, I can do it, but other chances is it can it manifest things that depending on what you're asking? Yes. Because I've always been known to where if I'm going to ask, I get a direct answer. Now, when it comes to my personal life, that's like how you say, Christian, could I read myself? I can read myself to a limit, but when it comes to my love life, it comes out like all like upside down and all that. So I rather not try. But the only time I read myself like where it came out was with the mat, and that really scared me. And now it's kind of like told me that was where I'm gonna probably be headed, going to start throwing like bones and stuff. And I haven't done it since all the stuff has happened to me, but probably I'll get back into it when I'm ready to really confront my little fears that I have of I'll read other people, but when it comes to me, I'm going to be very delicate
It's
because of
tricky.
that encounter. Yeah, it's tricky, and so now, but like you said, can I read myself? Yes, to a certain degree. Um, but when it comes to certain things that if I want to know what's going on, I'm able to see things, with visions. But since I haven't had any lately, it's been kind of off. But there's times where I can see certain things, but it's kind of like it varies. So
Very
That's very
interesting.
interesting. Chris, do you want to tell everybody where they can get a hold of you or and your TikToks?
yeah, well, if they want to reach me at the TikTok, it's Psychic 28. I know that y'all see the number on the screen. It's 210 974 3470. Now, if you like to email me, you can. Garcia187bluelove@gmail.com. Again, Garcia187bluelove@gmail.com. Um, you can also find me on Facebook, but lately I've been kind of quiet on it because I don't do live like I used to. I guess it's just something that I'm not feeling as much. Only when I feel like if I'm drawn to Facebook, I'll do it. Uh, Now, if you guys want me to come back on Facebook, inbox me if you would like for me to do lives because sometimes I just don't feel like I'm connecting to a lot of people anymore. But
No
just
problem. We
if you
like
want me to, yeah, yeah,
it's just in our
yeah.
past we've had a lot of live readings on the show, so we kind of gear it a little bit that way. But it's nice to just talk
Yeah.
and see what your thoughts
And,
are.
yeah, and it's crazy too. Because I'm glad I got to see you guys, and and it's just beautiful to be on here because it's been actually it's already 10 months. Yeah, it's gonna be 10 months already since because so every 19th is one because she had passed away on the 19th, but I think next year when her birthday's on the 8th, so that's gonna be a year already. I had this other question.
He was commenting on the underground boardwalks in San Antonio. Where
That was from
Oh, that's funny. That's funny you said that, Bob, because a lot of people were asking me on a different show that I told them, I said, I think there's other artifacts that haven't been discovered on empty lots, like where there's dirt. I want to say that there is bones of dinosaurs and stuff that has not been discovered. Um, and I don't know why, but I'm seeing a lot of old artifacts that haven't been discovered in town. But I feel that within the few months, I think somebody's gonna find something and it's gonna open a can of worms. They're gonna try to keep it discreet, but I feel that the more that they find, I do feel that it's gonna be on the news. So just be aware for the local people. What I just said that there's gonna be artifacts found, but I do feel that there's gonna be a lot of things that they're not aware of yet. Um, and as far as with the previous show before I came on, um, I'll add a little Bigfoot insight to me. I feel that with Bigfoot, he is a interdimensional being, but my perception on him is kind of fishy because I've been drawn to him lately for some reason. Um, I want to say that I still want to say he's interdimensional, but there's times where I wonder where I'm actually gonna say this that the government has had hidden secrets and they made a mistake
hmm,
and they did an experiment on a man and that man was injected by something and somewhere all of a sudden he just ran on the loose because it was so much injection and I feel like that whatever they did he just got away. They tried to keep it away from the public and he just became all hairy and just lives out in the woods. Could he be human? I actually want to say he's a little bit of human and multiple dimension. He's kind of like in the mixture. He's kind of like in the middle. Um, and I feel that he's very intelligent. I feel that he's very aware of us, like the Mothman is. Like Mothman's a whole other show, but I do feel that they all have connections and with interacting with us humans. But I feel that they're aware of us more than we're aware of them. But I feel like there is something
that may well be true.
that we cannot, that a lot of the stuff cannot feel, that cannot be validated. But I always felt that there's something about these beings that that people discover, and does everybody experience seeing him? From what I saw in the last show, I don't think everybody's meant to see him. I think only certain people are meant to see him. I think if you open up, I do feel that he'll pop up, and maybe if you can communicate Bigfoot language, then you can talk telepathically to him. But I do feel that certain people are meant to see him, and others he knows who he doesn't want to come across. I feel like for me and you and Christian, I would feel that he would avoid us because he knows that we're intuitive, and I feel that he would avoid any people that can get into his head, read his thoughts. So he would keep his distance from people that are very, very highly intuitive. That's my perspective on things. I don't know what you guys think about it, but that's what I'm feeling at the time when I'm looking into him right now.
Phenomena is super interesting, and it certainly parallels psychic and paranormal phenomena as well as what we call alien abduction phenomena. I think there are a lot of parallels there and a lot of crossover. We've had guests and we have friends that think that all the phenomena is exactly the same thing, and it's all one just big thing in the way we just end up interpreting that data. And it is helpful to keep in mind that as human beings, we're relegated to our five physical senses plus any kind of psychic insight sense that you might have, right? Like a third eye thing. But for the most part, our reality just exists through these five senses and in our heads, what we think of it, how we process that data. So, their experience, like a Bigfoot, or what we call an alien, may be completely different than what people experience. And it's just a way of them out to us through those limited senses that creates the experience we call Bigfoot or the paranormal.
Or the unknown, because you never know what you're gonna get. And I do feel that when you tap into the paranormal, like they say, be careful what you wish for because you might just get it.
So true.
Sage advice, my friend.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us again on our show. We'd love to have you back, and you can bring your lovely lady with you next time.
Yes, please.
Yeah, because I don't know if she would. I think she would, want to, but I guess is that she respects me. But there's a few times where she's like, "Do you want to show me off, or do you want people to see me?" And I said, "You know what? I love you. So, am I showing you off? It's not showing you off. It's more of appreciating your presence, and I just want you to know that I'm happy that you're with me and that we're together. And it's not showing off. It's just showing what I would say my other half, or better half, is what others would call it." But I'll let you guys. But I'll let you guys know that maybe when you let me know, like at the end of the show, when you guys are like whatever schedules you have, and maybe I can talk to her, and if she could say hi to you guys real quickly, and then
that sounds
stuff
great.
like that.
I'm sure we'll put that together and
Yes.
and stick around after the show. We'll chat a little bit.
All
I'm
right.
gonna take you out of the stream again. Thank you for joining us. You can give Chris Garcia a call at 210-974-3470. Find him on TikTok, or Gmail him at, what's your Gmail again? I should know it by now.
Garcia187bluelove@gmail.com, or you can find me at Psychic28 on TikTok.
Psychic28 on TikTok. And that's where all the kids are these days.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, Chris. We'll be right with you. And that's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us. And again, we hope our friends in Florida are staying safe and, are going to make it through this. So we'll be watching the storm closely and probably doing some sort of charity. And just like our friends in North Carolina, South Carolina through Helene, We wish you guys the best. It's been a crazy couple of weeks weather-wise, but we miss you. Take care of yourselves. And we've got lots of surprises coming up in the next couple of weeks. We'll tell you more as it goes along. And please pay attention to our pages on YouTube, Dark Horse Paranormal on YouTube, Dark Horse Paranormal Productions, and, of course, Bigfoot and the Bunny on Facebook. And, of course, the Paralinks, Paranormal United Network. So thank you again for joining us. Take care, guys.
Good night.
Oh, I can't wait to play it back.
Sounded like Kristen.
It's my name. Wow. Even being the sort of Novena type 7-day candle, you can see the top of it is done. And we put in.
I talk about setting the table for the dead if you've had a table that's set with them before. Having the same dinner, creating that same memory, the same sense. They can smell things.
Dragging Brandon back on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
We've been looking for abductions all night. Who are those two humans? That's Betty and Barney Rubble. Dumbass, you're thinking of Betty and Barney Hill. Already abducted. Does he remind you of Travis Scott? Dumbass, you're thinking of Travis Walton. Already abducted. I'm starving. What are we going to stop for something to eat later? The scanner relays came back. That's Chris and Kristen from Bigfoot and the Bunny. Which one is Bigfoot? Which one is the bunny? Dumbass. Oh my god, you're such a dumbass. Such a dumbass. Such a dumbass.